I'm here with Chris Heilmann from Mozilla at the Open Web Camp here on the Stanford University Campus in 2011. Good afternoon, Chris, and thanks for agreeing to the interview.
Hello.
Chris, you gave a great presentation this morning on HTML5. Could you summarize that presentation for the viewers of this podcast?
The talk was more or less about how HTML5 is disrupting a lot of the best practices that we've done in the past, like proper separation of concerns, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and now we're using all of these technologies together to build really, really interactive and intriguing interfaces. So how HTML5 is allowing us to build a much more rich and beautiful web, something like you only saw in the movies a few years ago, and how we still try to apply the same strict rules that we apply to the web of like links and forms. So my idea was to make people aware that not everything that people say is HTML5 that they say is HTML5, and to be open-minded about change in the web and the shift in the web that's happening right now. That was basically the approach of it.
Yeah, very well done. So I'm a practicing web professional. What are the benefits to me within HTML5?
A lot of what we do in HTML5 is stopping to simulate building applications and being allowed to build applications. So a lot of the things that we've been doing with JavaScript and then later on with JavaScript libraries, so we didn't have to write it ourselves, now come technically with the browser, come built in the browser. I have new input elements that allow me to enter a telephone number rather than a text field that I then have to somehow find out if it was a telephone number or not. So client-side validation is possible. You can, with the newer APIs, the things that are not part of the HTML5 spec, but that come on the wash of with all these new technologies, is that I can drag files into the browser to upload them, instead of going through a form and having to find it in my computer and then uploading it that way. I can also manipulate files in the browser. I can unzip things, I can zip things, I can convert images into something else before I upload them to the web. So a lot of the tasks that we've been doing with back-end development or with JavaScript now are done in the browser for us. And it's much easier to learn this than to learn the old outdated materials, especially as it's hard to, a lot of technology out there, especially learn PHP for the first time, let's put it like this. A lot of the tutorials give you a feel-good feeling really quickly, but they brush over things like security. And when you build something that is already built in the browser, these kind of mistakes cannot be made because the browser doesn't allow you to do them. So a lot of the things that we hand-rolled ourselves wasn't secure, wasn't performing well, so we can actually now use the things that browsers give us, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, very well said. So for teachers, teaching, any particular tips or suggestions you would give those teachers, at a college or university or even a high school for that matter, teaching HTML5? Any thoughts on that?
There is a lot of curricula out there. The Web Standards curriculum from Opera was the first one, and then we had the WASP Interact curriculum. So a lot of the people in the business that I work with are actually working with these groups to write articles and to write course materials. I'm currently reviewing a book on HTML5 that comes with exercises and actually test exercises for the teacher, instructions for the teacher. So a lot of the stuff is being done. The main thing is we have to keep our eyes open and to keep the interaction going. It's reaching out to universities and schools is really hard as a technical company, because you get like an hour of giving a talk, but you don't get any follow-up or you don't get any buy-in from the university or the school themselves, because they want a curriculum that checks things off. And the web is just not check marks. The web is much more. It's a medium. It's a bit like arts. You know, you cannot just put marks on a picture by how technically it was done, but also how beautiful it is and what kind of political or message it gives. And it's the same with the web. Like, code to a degree is poetry, and we should allow students to learn it that way and not just learn it like check marks. I have a degree in German, well, an A-level degree, and in Germany we learned poetry by analyzing the structure of the poem rather than analyzing how it played with the language and how it actually made people feel. And that's sad. It's like we're humans and we interact with each other with the web. So the technologies that drive the web should be as creative as others, I think.
Excellent. Very well said, Chris. Well, we certainly appreciate your perspective. Certainly what you do for the web and the web profession, and most definitely for your time today.
Thanks, not a worry. Look me up. Everything I release is Creative Commons. So if you want to use something in your own slide decks or use some of my examples, I'm totally fine with that.
And where would we go to get that information?
Most of it is on my blog, wait-till-i.com, wait-till-i.com, and a lot of the stuff I'm releasing on hacks.mozilla.org as well.